looking at the first part of the steering wheel wrap here. This is just my test piece to get my sizes right. So what I'll do is I'll cut this back apart, and then I'll measure this, and then I have some 1/8 inch Landau foam under here. There we go. Oh, come on, buddy. There we go. So there's my 1/8 inch. I just kind of taped it on rather than glue it just to get the right size. So I'll cut that off. Then we'll make a couple strips of this. This is going to be a 3-parter. So we're going to do one part from here to here, another part from here to here. It's 4-parter, I'm sorry. Another part across the top, and then another one here. So the two sides are going to be black. The top and the bottom are going to be white. And I think I'm going to use black stitching all the way around. I don't know how this is going to work out. If it sucks, I'll make another one. But the black pieces are going to come in here on the spokes and then fold under here. So we'll see how this all works out. Oh, and I did lay these out by hand. I just kind of went to town with my needles over there. So the stitches aren't real even. But in the final version, all these holes will be laid out by a machine. And hopefully will be a lot more evenly spaced. I've got a couple, I'm going to call them blanks here. You can see where I screwed up on my markings. The one right by my thumb is the center line. So it's going to be the center line on the wheel from the outside. I've got one marked right, and then I've got a top, so actually this one goes over here. You can see the tabs for covering up those guys. So it'll wrap around just like that. Then I got one marked left, and that'll go over there. Let's see which one's the top. That's the top right there, so the top will go up. And I'm going to spray these guys on, and we're going to get them stuck. This dimension here is the dimension around the wheel, so I'll get this all set in place, and then this stuff will all be sort of hand work. So I'll just sort of fit it as I go. There she is, trimmed up. You can see I tried to get that as straight as I could, that little seam in there, little seam in there, and then basically I just tried to keep that line going across. Is it perfect? No. But is it pretty darn close? Yeah. I might have to do a little more trimming. Then I'll take, because these were the hard parts, so what I'll probably do while I have these is cut my black fabric and start fitting it to these guys, and just get it to fit, and then I'll put on the other foam and we'll fire up the white fabric, and then we'll have to sew it all together, and it'll be one big sort of stretchy band that'll go around here, and then we'll put it all together. Alright, There we go, we're all padded up. I got a little glue I need to remove there maybe. If there's a little glue under it, it's not that big of a deal, it's all getting covered up. So I'm hoping I can follow these lines for my fabric, and we'll get that started. Here's my quick mock-up I just did with some tape, and I drew a bunch of lines on there to tell me where the creases are and stuff. But basically I'm going to take this apart and make a pattern, sew up one of these, and that will be a test piece. So this is sort of a pattern to create a pattern. Here we have our sewn in place mock-up. I took some of the material I'm going to use as the black vinyl, and I just flipped it out inside out so that I could write on it and see it and make notes. So this came from my taped on pattern. The E means that's the end of the stitching, and then I put some notes. I needed some deeper cuts. I needed to make a corner there, you know, all this stuff. So I think this is going to translate into a pretty good fit. So you can see just a couple little bulges right here, which means these corners just need to be, the angle needs to be cut in just a little deeper. So I've got my notes on that. I scratched that one out because I'm going to handle that a little differently. You can see, maybe you can't, I don't know, the light's not great. That corner matches up pretty well. That corner I think matches up pretty well, but then we get into here and the corners didn't quite match up. So those are the places I'm going to adjust, and I think that'll help quite a bit. Then we're just going to lay these over the ends and glue them back here. So that'll be kind of a trick. May involve some heat and stuff like that, but we'll make it all work. It sort of gets a little more critical now. When this gets sewn on, it's got to get sewn on as a complete piece. So I think I'm gonna just say, you know, this fits actually really well, and I think I could even make it fit just like it is with you know, like an injector and some super glue, and just kind of glue these down. But I think I'm real close. I'll make a few little adjustments there, and then we'll sew this whole thing up and get it installed. Just so nobody mistakes this, I'm not an expert at this stuff. This is the first steering wheel I've covered, but I'm learning some things, so I'll just pass those on. One sort of lesson here is if you fold this guy in half, seems kind of obvious now that I figured it out, but this distance here has to be the exact same as the distance on the other side. So essentially all your corners here, 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 and here, they all have to line up. So sorry, I'm trying to do this one-handed. So they all have to line up with the opposite side. So all the corners have to line up, but then these, you know, after that it can do whatever it needs to make the shape, but those corners all have to meet so that this is the same length as this. This is the same length as that. This is the same length as that one. Vinyl actually stretches different in the different directions. So I'm going to set the camera down here. So this direction it doesn't stretch much, but this direction it stretches a lot. So the direction it stretches a lot is going to be going around this way. So it should stretch this direction, and it shouldn't stretch much around the wheel here. So my thought is I'm going to make this whole thing probably a little bit small circumference wise, and it's going to stretch into place, and that's going to help take out some of the puckers that may otherwise happen. Here's the pattern, and there's how we lay it out. So we added 3/8 of an inch so we can fold this over so we have a finish edge everywhere we sew or stitch, and then I redrew, you know, these two major lines because I know that measurement. So, you know, when you trace them, you kind of get fat on your lines. I want to be sure that wrapping around the steering wheel we have the right dimension through here. So I'll make one just flip of this. That'll be the left, and we'll get to stitching.